Hey friends, welcome to my first video. So, I am Quinn, otherwise known from Instagram as mindful_hookup. And I made this video today because I get asked all the time, how do I begin a notebook? Where do you get inspiration? It's probably my #1 biggest question. And I get where you're coming from in that because starting a notebook can feel totally overwhelming. There are so many different styles and kinds out there. So for me, the beginning of a notebook journey always begins with getting really clear about my notebook's purpose. So I generally have different categories I use to describe its purpose. So I have ones for planning and organizing, I have ones for journaling and memory keeping, I have ones for personal transformation and personal development, as well as a few little random artsy ones. And so that's what today's video is about. We're gonna go over my little journal obsession, as you see behind me, of 14 journals. And I'm gonna talk to you just a little bit about what I use each one for. And my hope is that after you see this video, it'll spark something in you to want to create your own, whether it's like mine or whether it just sparks some little idea that turns into something completely new. Because there really are a million styles out there. And then I'm not going to get in too much about my process for each notebook because literally we'd be here for like 10 hours. So I'm just going to give you a quick run through of each, and then if in the future you want to see my full setup for each notebook, drop a comment below and tell me what you want to see. Also, before we dive in, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you dig it, and I really appreciate you being here, and enjoy! Hey guys, so this section is all about planning and organization. I have 4 planners for planning and organization. We're going to take a look at those. So I just want to reiterate that I am not going to go through my complete setup for each of these. I'm just going to be taking you through basically what I use it for to give you some ideas of what you can use yours for. If you want to learn more about my process and setup for each of these, go ahead and drop me a comment below, and I'll make sure I do a future videos all about how I set up each journal or planner, so you can really get a more in-depth look. But for now, we're just going to go over what I basically use each of my many journals for, because if I did that, this video would be hours long. So the first one we're going to look at is an A5 size, and this is my bullet journal for monthly and weekly planning. I pretty much use this as a generalized weekly and monthly planning overview. So each month I have a monthly calendar, and this just keeps important dates, events, things like that. You can get as fancy or as simple and streamlined as possible. It just depends on your taste. Obviously, I'm a little extra. And then I always do a weekly one. My weekly is basically like an overview for me. A lot of people will put their days of the week in here and put a to-do list. I don't do that. I have a daily planner for that, which I'm going to go over with you guys. And my weekly, I basically always have my to-buy, a little thing of my weekly schedule, a calendar of the month as reference, a notes section, and a weekly like things I have to do. I leave this open on my desk all week so I can always refer back to it. I may put other spreads in here, like mood trackers, a fitness tracker, a seasonal bucket list kind of thing. But for the most part, this is for monthly and weekly planning for me. Now I'm going to show you why I don't put my dailies in here, because I use a daily planner, so we're going to take a look at that. So I like to have a daily planner because my life's a little crazy, and when I wake up in the morning, I've got a million things in my head that I need to do, and so each morning I like to sit down and actually plan out everything I have to do that day. So for that, I like to use an A6 size. I like the smaller size as well because this I can throw in my purse, where the A5 one is a little bit too big for me to carry around. You could, but this is just a lot easier to carry. So I use an A6 hobonichi. What I love about this is it's really easy to use because it's already pre-dated for you. And over here, I typically will just put in my timeline for the day and shade that in with where I'm gonna be, a little water tracker, and then my to-do list for that day. So a lot of times I will reference my monthly and weekly calendar to help me with this. But yeah, so I just do this every day. It's very quick. At the beginning of the week, I set it up with the little boxes and stuff, and then each morning I just fill it in. And I love it because it's compact, but it has every day of the year in here. The paper is just lovely. So that's how I keep track of my daily planning. Now we're going to look at some planning organization ones. So this one is for planning and organization that's related to my home. This is an A6 size. It is a ring planner this time. And in this one, it's really all about my family life. So for instance, in this one, I will keep like home to-do lists or things that need to be done seasonally. So for instance, this spring, I want to have my water tested. So I'll make sure that I have that in there. I also keep my grocery list in here. I also do my bill paying in here. I keep track of passwords to my bank and my credit cards. I will do vacation planning in here. So this is really everything that's related to my family life. And I like the rings so that I can move stuff around. I also love that it has a pocket for me to keep some stuff in. So yeah, this is all things related to family life, and that comes up with that. This is really easy. It takes a little while to set up, to figure out what it is you are going to need to make your life run easier and more organized. But once it's set up, it's really just a matter of filling it in. I buy printables to put in mine, so they're already there, and I just have to fill it in. So very quick, very easy. But very helpful in planning and organizing your family life, especially if you have a lot of kids. It would be a great thing to keep your kids' schedules in as well, if they have like a lot of practices, things like that. Also very easy to carry with the A6. So the last one I'm going to show you in planning and organization is my business planner. This one I definitely could not live without. It's an A6 size. And really, this one I use to keep track of my business, my web store. I also use it for planning content for Instagram or blog posts or things like that. So I will also keep ideas that I have. So I'm constantly inspired by things. And this is where I go to like write that stuff down immediately before it leaves my brain. So I keep all that in there. I also keep like passwords and website info. And I also have a weekly planning section in there as well for goals and things I want to complete for my business for that week. So I like to keep all that stuff separate, and it's definitely necessary for me. So that is a quick look at all my planners, notebooks, journals that I use for organizing. Let's move on to another section. Okay, so in this section we're going to be talking about journals for personal transformation. So what's different about these than say like the weekly rewind, which was where we went through like what happened in our day. This is more of journals that are for your inner thoughts and feelings. And for me, they're about the growth of who I am personally. And so I have two journals for that, and I'm going to show them to you. So my first one I'm going to go over, this is called my Magic Morning Journal, and I'll definitely be doing a separate video about what a Magic Morning Journal is, my process for actually doing a Magic Morning and creating my journal. But basically, my magic morning journal is a daily log. I keep daily. If you don't keep daily, that's fine. That I keep of my personal transformation and my personal development. So I have a thing that I do every day, which is my yoga, meditation, visualization, all the things I do to make me a better me. And this is where I put that. So I always have my daily gratitude. I pick a tarot or oracle card every day. I write about what I'm doing in my meditation time. And I write my innermost thoughts about where I am, how I'm feeling, things like that. So I personally just love this journal. And this journal for me is super free flowing. Like, as you'll see, like, I don't do one page a day. Sometimes I do. Like, this page is all just, this spread is all just one day. But I don't like to limit myself in this journal. This journal is really a place for me to just freely flow with as much space or as little space as I need. Yeah, I think this one might be my favorite journal, just because it has really like changed my life. And I love to look back and see where I've grown with those kind of things, and keep track of it. And I love a space to really show my intention for that day and give the gratitude that I feel. So that's my Miracle Morning Journal. And yeah, stay tuned, because very soon I will be doing some more videos that are in relation to this Magic Morning Journal, because I've got messages from so many of you wanting to know, what is a magic morning and how do I do it? So I'll talk to you about what that is and how you can get started with it. So my other journal that I use for transformation is called my Book of Shadows. And that's a very standard term. And basically what a Book of Shadows is, what it's traditionally known for is like, people would put like spells in it that they came up with, or rituals that they did, or recipes per se, all kinds of things. It's basically a place to keep magical things, is how I would best describe it. And people can do it in all different ways. Personally, for mine, I use mine mostly for tracking like tarot spreads that I do, because it helps me to look back and see where I was at that time. And so tarot spreads that I do, and also the cycles of the new and full moon. If you know anything about me from my Instagram, you know I'm obsessed with the moon and its phases, and I have quite the affinity with it. So during those times, I really like to work on myself, because the new moon is a great time for setting intentions, and the full moon is a great time for when all those intentions come to fruition and releasing things. So I like to work within those phases, and each one of those phases I always do a tarot spread, and I kind of write a little astrological overview of what can be expected during that time. I will also use it for the Wheel of the Year. So like Yule and Samhain, I'll do spreads for those days too. And again, that usually contains some kind of tarot spread or something like that. Other great things you can use this for is like correspondence pages. So if you wanted to do pictures of different crystals and what they meant, or chakras and what chakras meant, it would also be a great place for that. And so it's just another tool for transforming who you are from the inside out. And so that's why I love this. Again, this is one of my other favorites, and I know so many of you have wanted to have asked me questions about this one too. So I definitely would like to do a video about what things you can do and put in this, and how to really get started with it, and where to get the information. So yeah, drop me a comment below if you're interested. So in 2019 here, you can see I made a wheel for myself, which I'll talk about in a future video, but just had all the different moons and the Wheel of the Year. So yeah, I really love this one too. But these journals for transformation, there are so many more, and I can't wait to explore more about how you can really use them to better your life and create the life that you truly and really want. And that starts from the inside, and what a beautiful story these contain. when you do that. So that's it for this section, and let's move on to another. So now we're on to memory keeping, and oh my god, I have so many for memory keeping that the pile just keeps falling over. So let me pull out one and let's get started. Memory keeping is one of my favorite things to journal. So not just memory keeping, it's really about memory keeping and journaling. So the first one we're going to look at is one of my very favorites, and I call this Pieces of Me. This style of journaling I came up with as a way to really have a very quick way to journal. I like to use a smaller journal because there's not a lot of space to fill, so if you're low on time. But what I love about this journal is it's really just a snapshot all about you. So, and it doesn't have to be anything specific. So each day, what it is I take a picture of, it could be anything in my life, a favorite food, something I'm proud of. Sometimes I'll take pictures of decor in my house that I just really love. It's just all these tiny things in life that make up you and what you're about. And then I create little pages around it and I write about it. So you can see I have my picture and then I write about it. And this is a project you could do every day. You could do one a week, or you could just do it randomly. So I really fell in love with this. I came up with it in October of last year, and I've just really been loving it. It's just a fun, super simple way to get creative. And if you don't have a lot of time, but you really want to get creative and make something, this is a really great option. So this was my one from last year, and I love how little it is, so it's not intimidating. There's not a lot of space to fill. This is actually my one for this year, which I haven't started yet, but it's really pretty, and you can see I have some of my photos back here. So as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to start working on that. So that's my Pieces of Me journal. And again, it's just little bits all about you, nobody else, and it's really sweet. And yeah, I hope to do a video talking more about that and showing you some really fun ways to do it. And what a great thing for your children or grandchildren to be able to look back on someday and really know all those intricate pieces of you, things you really loved or were into at the time. Okay, so that's one way. So another thing that I like to do is what's called my weekly rewind. So my weekly rewind journal, this is my one from last year. I'm going to show you my one for this year. So what a weekly rewind journal is last year I just used a basic standard size traveler's notebook. And unlike a diary, which is your inner thoughts, this journal is really about a breakdown of your day. So it's much more like mundane, about the actions or things you did that day. So I just usually go through with each day of the week. And then I have this page over here to do some art on. Also, some great ideas for this page, this side, are if you went to a restaurant that week or a movie, you could put your movie tickets or any other little memorabilia from your week could go on this page in a decorative way. Pictures, photos that you took that week could go on this page. So this is really just like a chronicle of my life and where I was and what I was doing that day. You know, like I went to work or I had a dentist appointment, like so random. Oh, I had a girls' day, went shopping, had lunch with so-and-so. So it's really just a chronicle of my life. And I just really like doing this and looking back and always knowing where I was and what I was doing. And again, you can be as creative or as simple as you want it to be. So again, this is my weekly rewind. I do this once a week. That was my one from last year. I'm just going to give you a quick peek at my one from this year because I did switch it up a little bit. So this year I switched. I'm going to be doing it in, instead of like a standard size traveler's notebook, I'm going to be doing it in a hobonichi weeks. So just because I love the hobonichi stuff, so you can see it's already dated for me. And then again, it has this page over here for me to do all kinds of fun artsy stuff on. So I'm excited to get started with this one this year. I have my pages, I just haven't put them in here yet or decorated it yet. So I'm really excited to do that. So another great way to just like keep some memories and do some journaling. So that's the weekly rewind. Next, I have what I like to call my Savor the Moments Traveler's Notebook. So this is my one from this year that I'm starting. It hasn't been filled in yet, so I'm going to show you my one from last year. So Savor the Moments for me is really about those moments where you have pictures from or day trips or things like that that you want to keep the memory of. But they're not big enough that you need to do this huge, like several page spread. It's just like small moments, maybe even moments that like nobody else thought was important. So like sometimes I will do it like if I go for a hike and I just had this wonderful moment that I want to remember. Or like a day trip that I took, or one day we went to a theme park. One day we spent at the beach and we did all this fun stuff and I had a great time, and I wanted to capture those moments. Again, this is like a hike that we took, and I want to capture those moments, but it's small enough that I can capture it on a page or two. It's not so long that I need a several page spread, which we'll get into how I deal with that. So I call it my Savor the Moments because I've really been into the last year or two figuring out ways to really be in a moment that seems so ordinary, like having dinner with my family and making it something really extraordinary, like really being there for it. And so this journal was my way of saluting that, those small moments that were just make up my day, that were incredible, that I wanted to keep track of and really show off and celebrate. I just, especially my hikes and my outdoor time, I really love that. So again, I just use a standard size traveler's notebook, doing the same thing for this year. And so that's the Savor the Moments. Now, sometimes the moments are too big for just one page. And that's why I call this one my Celebrate Life. And this is like a hybrid scrapbook, everything kind of journal. This is one of my favorites because it's just so much fun. So there are times when you have big celebrations in life. And so those celebrations might include like holidays. So for instance, Christmas, when you have 50,000 pictures and you have all this stuff that you want to save and share, this is going to be the place for you to do that in. Also, if you go on like these big road trips or vacations and you just have mounds of memorabilia and pictures and things, this is where you're going to do it. So in this journal, I have a variety of everything. So I use bullet journal style pages, as you can see here. I'll just have like little journal cards that I'll pop in and some memorabilia from a place that I ate. That's why the rings are great, because you can just add all kinds of stuff. Whatever you can punch a hole in, you can add to this kind of journal. It's like really random, and that's kind of what I like about it, that it's just all this kind of messy scrapbook style. In this journal, I also love to use pocket pages. It's a great way to get a lot of pictures in there and also just do some fun stuff with journal cards. I'll even save receipts from stuff, like places I went. I'll take brochures from places I went and just punch some holes in them. Again, this is from like the Metro, and I just get stickers and everything else. And the pocket pages are great when you have a lot of pictures. As you can see, I have tons of pictures that I wanted to have a memory of. But you can really stick all kinds of memorabilia in here. This was like a plant or a flower that I got when I was in Washington, D.C., up at the memorial, and I really wanted to keep that, so I was able to keep that in here. So it's just a lot of really random pages that you can mix all the journaling styles. So you've got pocket pages and bullet journal style pages, and you can even change the size of your pocket pages. like you see me do here. These are much smaller ones. And yeah, so this is where if you have like bigger things going on, that's not going to fit in your Savor the Moments. That's going to be too large to go into that, and you need more space to show off those moments. And I'll tell you what, this is an awesome kind of book to keep on your coffee table and let family and friends go through and see all the things you celebrated this year, the big moments, or moments that you felt were big. Like this one for me is all about a shopping trip. A girls' day, a shopping trip and going to the beach with my bestie. I loved it. So yeah, that's what I use this one for. And hey, little fun fact about this thing that I keep it in. So I just want to quickly tell you this little binder that I'm keeping it in. So this, I used to have a happy planner. This did not come with rings. It was just a case for a happy planner, and you slid the happy planner into this part. But I loved the case, and I'm not a fan of the photo albums that you keep the pocket pages in. I just don't think they're that attractive. I love this more binder style. I think it's just more modern and fresh. So what I did is I actually went on, and I'll put a link below, and got myself a ring binder kit. It was super easy to do, and turned this into a ring binder, and it fits the pocket pages perfectly. So always remember to reuse stuff or figure out different ways to use it, because this was an expensive cover for my happy planner, but I don't use a happy planner anymore. So yeah, it worked out great. But I'll put a link below so you can show you where I got the rings to put in it. Okay, and my last thing for my journaling and memory keeping is, so this is what I call my glimpse pocket pages. So we could get into like 3-hour long video just about like how people use pocket pages and stuff. I don't use it that often, but what I do love it for is once a month. So while the other ones may have been, you got my weekly rewind, and then you got, you know, celebrations and moments. This one is usually what I call glimpse, because it's a glimpse into my life in any given month. So like this is September, and what I like to do in this one is I like to just, it's an overview of what happened to me that month. So it might have been what I was watching, what I was reading. This one has like the top 5 awesome things that happened. So milestones that happened that month, you know, like my son going off to school, or, you know, like challenges I might have had. So this really just captures like what happened to me that month. It's really like an overview of my month. So that's gonna finish it for this section. And now we are gonna move on to another. See you there. All right, last part, guys. So in this part, I'm just gonna show you some other random journals that I have, as if I don't have enough. I literally will try to find purposes for new journals, because I love it so much. It's just been such a creative, fun outlet for me. So I have 3 other journals that I use just randomly for things, and I'll share those with you. So this first one, this is just really like a place where I like to come and sketch, and I'll work on different handwriting styles and pictures and various things like that. So this is just my messy, like practice sketching kind of like journal that I like to have. Yeah, I think everybody should have one of these. It's the one when you're sitting on the couch and you really don't want to think, but you just want to kind of play. This is where I just come to play without thought, and just kind of practice doing things. So this little guy here, this journal I usually keep in my backpack when I go places. And what this really is it's just a journal that I use when I'm actually out somewhere, like a lot of times hiking and stuff. So, because sometimes you just need to journal wherever you are. So if I'm at the top of the mountain, I might need to journal. If I'm hanging out on the beach, I might feel like journaling. And so it's just a very random fun journal. Like I started doing flower parts and stuff and I started taking pictures of like plants that I saw and trying to identify them and draw them. So yeah, this is my like journal like I keep in my bag and use when I'm out and about, and I'm sitting there enjoying my surroundings and feel the need to whip out a journal and write stuff down. That's what I use this one for. It's really small and handy, and it's good for on the go. Or like if I'm out and I have thoughts, I just kind of jot them down. So it doesn't really have like a rhyme or a reason or a setup, which is kind of something I like about it. There's no rules. So my last one, I love this one, it's so cute. It's just this little cutie, and I had originally thought I was going to keep some poems in here, which I did. I'm glad I started it this way because I started it with the seed, which is the beginning of a journal. But this little journal here is actually, I've been working on an oracle deck, and this is where I'm keeping like all my inspirations for that little deck that I'm creating. So yeah, that's what I'm using this little journal for. So there is like a million ways to use journals. So if you're a sewer, you could put your designs in one. Oh, I can think of so many ways. Like all the time, I'm constantly like, see a journal I love and I'm like, what can I use that for? So anyway, that is it for this section of the random journals. So that's it for this video. I hope that you found something of value in it and got some inspiration. If you want to know more about a certain notebook that you saw today, go ahead and drop me a comment below and I'll make a more in-depth video about that. And also, I get asked all the time where I get stuff. So I'm going to provide a ton of links below, as many as I can, to all the stuff that you saw in today's video. I really want to thank you for being here with me today. It was my pleasure. And like and subscribe if you're interested. I'll see you guys again soon.